In this video, we are going to be looking at step 1 of 8 or the chapter 2 review ladder. And in step 1, question number 1 says convert to vertex form and identify the transformations. And we have this function f of x equals negative 4x squared plus 24x minus 39. One of the things that I would like you to remember is that we have vertex form for a quadratic looks like this. We have a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. And I'm going to say where the vertex is given to us by h comma k. And that's going to be important for us when we actually figure out what our vertex is. And to find a vertex, and looking at a quadratic function, I'm going to use this little formula that we have. The x value of our vertex is equal to the opposite of b over 2a. And so when I look at my b value here, my b value is 24. The opposite of 24 is negative 24 divided by 2 times a, and a is negative 4 in this case. That's going to give me negative 24 divided by negative 8. And negative 24 divided by negative 8 is positive 3. So that's going to be the x value of my vertex, and in our case here, that's the same thing as h. G is h for us. And then if I want to find the k value, or what we might consider the y value of our vertex, I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to plug it back into the function. And I'm going to say f of 3 equals negative 4 times 3 squared plus 24 times 3 minus 39. So I'm just taking this value of 3 and I'm plugging it back in for x into my function. And when I do that, if I plug all of this into my calculator, this is going to give me negative 3. So our vertex is going to be 3 comma negative 3. So at this point, I have a value for h, I have a value for k, and the only thing that I'm missing in vertex form is this value of a. But when I think about a quadratic, the leading coefficient of x squared is actually a. The leading coefficient for x is b, and our constant is c. So it turns out that I do know the value of a, and we'll just say that a equals negative 4. Then that means our function in vertex form is going to be a, which is negative 4, times the quantity x, and then up here we see in vertex form we have this minus h, and so we really want the opposite of whatever our h value is, and the opposite of our h value is going to be negative 3 squared, and then plus k, and k in this case is negative 3, so we can say minus 3. And so now what we've done is we've taken this function, negative 4x squared plus 24x minus 39, and have converted it into vertex form here. The next thing that we need to look at is the transformations. So what kinds of transformations happened when I consider what the parent function x squared looks like? So I'm going to sort of work inside out here. I think one of the first transformations I have is I have a shift to the right by 3 units. Shift to the right 3 units. the next thing that we have is what happens with k, and that's telling me that I'm shifting down 3 units. I make my way over here, and then I have 2 things that are actually happening here. One is that this negative sign here, this negative sign tells me that I have a reflection over the x-axis. And last but not least, this 4 here represents a vertical stretch. And I know some people are going to see that and maybe think, I don't know, in the past I've seen people try and think that this is a compression because there's this negative sign here, but the negative really is its own transformation, and it's this reflection. So just sort of keep that in mind. So last but not least, here we have a vertical stretch by a factor of 4. And that is going to be it for question 1. We came up with the vertex form of our original function, and we've identified 4 transformations that take place when I'm looking at vertex form. Question 2 on this review ladder says use algebra to write the vertex form function that has a vertex of -2, -3, and passes through this point 0, -2. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to again just sort of identify that if I have a vertex, this is h and this is k. And what I'll do here is I will write what the vertex form for any quadratic function would look like, which is a times x minus h squared plus k. And what we'll do here is right away, since we have this vertex, we can actually plug in our h and k values. The opposite of h for us is going to be +2, so I can actually rewrite this and say that we have a times x plus 2 squared, and then k is going to be -3. And so at this point, the only variable left that I would really need to take care of is this a value here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point 0, -2, and I'm going to plug that into our function here. And so when I do that, I'm going to have -2 equals a times the quantity x is going to be 0 squared -3. Now I'm just doing a little bit of algebra. So 0 plus 2 is going to give me 2. 2 squared is 4, so really here I'm going to have 4 times a, which we can just say is 4a. I can add 3 to both sides because I'm working to try and get a by itself. This becomes 1 equals 4a. And last but not least, I can divide both sides by 4. And so 1/4 equals a. So now that I know what my a value is, I can put this all together. So the vertex form of this particular function that has this vertex of -2, -3, and passes through the point 0, -2 is going to be f of x equals A is 1/4 here, times the quantity x plus 2 squared minus 3. And that will do it for this step 1 of our Chapter 2 ladder review.